imbecile.
So, just for some context on who we've got on the show, one of my, I wouldn't say childhood friends, but we've known each other for a few years, even if we haven't been talking for all of them, haven't we, Jourdan?
Yes, it's been a while. Top Golf days was lit.
True.
I adore my Top Golf.
Top golf,
Okay.
yes.
I guess I should have gone over these rules really quick with you before we started the stream, but we both Riot and I are anonymous on our social media, so try and not use our names if possible.
Okay.
You normally just call me Boo anyway, so that's, you know.
Oh my god.
That's fine.
Jesus.
Continue. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god.
No. All right. So that's who's on with us, Jourdan. He's a really good guy. I don't know. I value you a lot. You're funny as fuck too.
I'm not gonna out you.
But
that's so funny.
I kind of wanted to have him on, just to kind of talk about the shit that's going on in the world today. I mean, I'm pretty uninformed about everything, which, you know, that's not necessarily a good thing, but I just kind of want to hear his opinion and have him, you know, share what he's experienced in his life about this kind of shit, because I know he probably has some things to say. Lots. So I don't know, what do you make of this whole situation? Obviously, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Obviously, we're talking about the George Floyd situation.
Yeah.
For those who don't know.
For me, first of all, seeing any police brutality video that's ever went viral has been something that, for me, is just so traumatizing to see. Being a black man in a fucking growing up in a, no offense, white school district, you know, it's scary. There's not a lot of us, you know, here. There's like sprinkles here and there. And to see that kind of stuff broadcasted on social media, it's like an eye opener. You know, growing up, I never used to think of this shit. I used to think life was all fucking rainbows and butterflies and fucking just whatever. And now it's not like that at all. I've had to open my eyes and be like, it's not safe. It really isn't. The people who are
no, you go. Sorry.
The people who, you know, you look at who are supposed to protect you and is supposed to, you know, serve the country or whatever, is killing us. And obviously, I live in a black household. I mean, there's been men and women, trans women, all that, who have died. And you can easily put any of those names on anyone's face in this household. And it's a very scary thing. So I don't think, obviously, with what the police officers are doing right now, I think right now it's kind of like fighting fire with fire. I don't necessarily agree with not just black people, all races looting. I don't agree with that necessarily. I don't agree and think that we'll get something positive from doing that. However, I will say the rights that I have as also a gay man has come from rioting, from our protests that we have done in history. So I do think that we need to do something. I think there's always a better way that we can go about it, but also if, you know, the system isn't listening to us and if they're continuously killing us, I mean, we have to switch it up a little bit. But
right.
Like I said, I don't agree with all of the violence as far as like breaking into certain stores. However, you know, there was Target where before they like looted Target or whatever, they were going to use the materials from Target to help with the protesting, help with the tear gassing, whatever. And Target refused to help them, refused to sell them the products. So them bitches went in there, took what they needed to take. Now, some of them bitches, like I said, all races, you saw a lot of people running out with TVs and all the unnecessary bullshit. But for the most part, a lot of the stuff was used to help people with the protesting because they were getting tear gassed out the ass.
Well, I think that's kind of the weird balance that's going on. Or I don't know if you would call it a balance or just dichotomy of what's going on. Like, you have these people out there protesting for something that they believe in, something that's near and dear to their heart, and trying to make change in the right way. Then you have, a handful of rioters and looters that, might actually be debatably doing it for what they believe in the moral way for what they believe. Again, it's still breaking the law, but we've seen before in history that sometimes breaking the law can cause positive change.
Right.
And
exactly.
then you have the people who are just fucking out there doing whatever they want to do because fuck the world, I'm gonna do me, and they, people are focusing on that, and the same shit's happening that happens. We're grouping people together, like all protesters are now evil rioters who are looting into stores,
which is not true.
And yeah, I mean, it's turning into a vicious cycle of everyone's just lumping everyone in to the same category, and again, like with the whole cops thing. Like, yeah, there are some bad cops out there. There are bad people everywhere. But it makes me wonder, like I hear a lot, all the arguments, like all cops are bad or not all cops are bad. And then there's, not all cops are bad, but the system is bad, which, I don't know a lot about the subject. But what I do know is I know police officers, just like I know, you and other black people. I don't know what the politically correct way to say that is, so I apologize if I'm coming off as offensive,
you said it right,
but
that's what it is.
I know. Sorry, like I said, I'm kind of don't know really where to go here, but I know good people who are police officers, and I know good people who are black people, and it's very clear to me, which I don't know why it isn't to other people, maybe just because of the experiences they have, that I know these people who are police officers or training to be police officers that are just good people, and vice versa with the other side. Like, I know black people who are amazing people. Like, you're one of my favorite people out there. And that's I mean, that's no lie. Just from our time at Topgolf, I've seen your work ethic, I've seen your attitude, I've seen the way you handle situations, I've seen your intelligence, your care for other people. You're just,
look at that.
You're just.
Oh my god, y'all! He has never said this to me.
Bullshit, Jourdan. Bullshit. Fuck off. That's not true.
I'm sorry, but it feels good. Okay, go ahead.
Well, don't forget, you blocked me because I said something bad about Ariana Grande. So.
Shut up. We're past that.
But. To me, it just does, and I get how bad experiences can make people think differently, but especially if they have no positive experiences with either side.
Yeah,
I think that's where the real issue comes from, right? Most people don't personally know a cop. They only have the interactions of getting pulled over, doing something wrong, and getting caught for it. And I can agree with a lot of cops that I've met before kind of have this ego about them. I don't know, but
oh honey, it's worse than an ego, child.
Well, I'm trying to be polite about it, but I don't know, man. It's just I don't know what to make of the entire situation. I both agree and disagree with both sides. If that makes sense.
Well, my thing about it is, I mean, me personally, I mean, if we have a conversation about there's good cops and bad cops, and there's good black people, there's bad black people, there's good white people, bad white people. I mean, we could continue on that cycle as long as we want. I mean, we could go all day. The thing is, I mean, the officers that are out there, I feel like people just really want the good cops that are out there, we are wanting them to do more. We are wanting them to get more involved, to try the system, to change it as much as they could. But we're not seeing that we are seeing that a little bit more with the protesting and even some people from the military and stuff like that. But the bad cops that are out there that are fucking tear gassing any and everyone, who are, you know, literally using rubber bullets on people, and they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to use that. They're supposed to shoot those rubber bullets, like towards the ground from a certain feet away to like hit a certain part of the lower body of a person.
Mm-hmm.
But they're shooting directly at people's heads. That's not right. That's not right. So there's a lot of things that are going on right now on both sides that aren't exactly, you know, correct. But at the same time, my thing is just like the media or like how everything is being portrayed. Even the president is making it seem like only black people are looting, and that's not true.
Well,
You have
yeah, no.
black people who are standing in front of certain business or standing in front of businesses saying, "Hey, don't loot here, whatever." And then you have, you know, there's white people that I've seen that have dressed up in all black who are looting again to give that narrative that black people are the only ones looting. So it's just like right now, I don't think it's like all bets are off. There's no right way to do it at this point. It's just trying to figure out who the fuck is going to listen
Dude,
and who is going to do something about this stupid ass system that we have. Because I don't think it's right for just, if we can't fucking go out here in this bitch and just kill anybody, I don't think police officers should be going out in this bitch killing any and everybody, or being able to swipe it, or just like swipe it under the rug, or you know, just, oh, it was an accident. You don't go into someone's house accidentally and shoot them 8 times because you think it's somebody else and then say, oh, well, that wasn't. No,
Yeah.
you don't. That's not an excuse. So I think we're mainly talking about those people who are getting in police uniforms to exercise racist behavior or racist beliefs or all that. That's the people we are really targeting.
Right.
And for the system not acknowledge that and to not do something to those people immediately, like I said, it's taken several countries to get involved with this whole protesting. It's taken the riots, the looting, the social media, the donations, just everything that's been going on just for those 4 officers to have something done. If we didn't do the great measures that we did so far, nothing would have happened. And it just would have been another name. And that's exhausting. I'm tired of going on social media and seeing another black person, somebody, you know, in my community dying. Like I said, I could easily put my name on there, and it'd be Jourdan Cain died,
right,
you know, from police brutality. And I don't want to see that. I don't want my family to see that. And I'm hoping that if something like that was to happen to me, you motherfuckers would do something, because there is no way in fuck that should ever be looked at as okay to put a knee on somebody's neck and they're not doing shit, they're not resisting or anything of the sort. Kill the motherfucker, and then it's, oh well, you know,
Jourdan,
he wasn't resisting, or come up with a bullshit ass excuse.
Jourdan, if anybody ever hurts you, I'm showing up at their doorstep. You're too pure of a soul.
Oh, I'm not that pure, but thank you. I think something else that I want to bring up that I've acknowledged, or just that I've seen, is just that, you know, with this whole coronavirus that's been going on, we're in a whole ass pandemic. Keep that in mind. We're in a whole ass pandemic and a whole ass war.
2020 be coming for us.
The fact that people can protest the coronavirus, and the fact that people are unemployed, and, you know, predominantly white people, I'm gonna just put it out there, can go up to police officers, yell, scream, do whatever, say whatever, be aggressive, as people like to say with my community, to the police officers, and they do nothing. And then when we start, you know, peacefully, because there's a lot of cities that are peacefully protesting, and they are just inflicting anything out to the crowd. I mean, you have minors out in the crowd who are protesting. You have just, like I said, all races that are out there, men, women, all that. And they're just beating people, tear gassing, rubber bullets, you know, just manhandling. Like, it's just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Why is there not keep that same energy? Why is that energy not the same when we're trying to peacefully protest?
Right.
So it's frustrating, to say the least. And it's annoying.
It's weird too, like, you can attest to this, Jourdan, where we grew up, it's so not like the real world. Like,
yeah,
the little fucking rich white community. I'm white, huh? But I wasn't one of those rich kids. Like that school district that we were in, it's just a whole
It
whole
shields you
different.
from all that shit.
It,
Like you're in your own little world, really.
for sure. Like, I mean, that's our city as a whole, kind of, but especially that school district, man. When I moved out of state and went to a different school, I was shocked, bro, at just how different everyone thinks than just that little, even, I was very much, especially in middle school, I was, anti the community we were in. Like, oh, no, fuck this place. Like, I'm never going to be like this. But then I moved to a different city, and I was like, holy shit, I'm more like these people than I ever thought that I was. Like,
right.
It was weird, man.
And that's just the thing, though. Like, it's completely opposite to how I grew up. Like, your experience when you were a kid, where you lived.
Yeah, Riot's
Like,
different because you explain how you grew up, man.
Well, I mean, I've never been with my actual dad, or I haven't been with my actual dad since I was very young. But my mom, when I was very little, met my stepdad and married him, and we moved in with him. We've been with him ever since, and he's black. So I was pretty much raised by my black stepdad and my mom, and his entire side of the family. And we live in California, and in California it tends to be very diverse, especially in the places that we are. Yeah, especially where I am right now. It's very, very diverse part of the state, and it's never been just that little white neighborhood, rich white people. It's always been such a mix of people. And then even going home when it's a mixed family, in a way, I was also censored to everything. But it's because, having a mixed family, my dad didn't want me to, feel ways about people, or, it's just been a completely different experience. And seeing all this stuff going on in the media, I'll never be able to fully experience it because I am a young white male in America. I have that privilege, and I, will never ever feel or experience the same things. But having been raised by a black family, I feel scared for them every day. Like, they live down in LA, and there's a lot of stuff going on down there, and I have little cousins in my family and that I care about very deeply, and I'm scared for them to go outside. It's the same thing. I can just feel that sympathy for them, and it's horrible. And when you have this system like that, where there is no justice, it's just not there. You see you can see a white person who walks into a church and shoots up the entire church, and he gets peacefully walked out in handcuffs, no struggle or anything. But then you see an innocent man like George Floyd, who wasn't resisting or doing anything of the sort, but he was essentially being suffocated on the ground for no good reason, just because he was black. And he wasn't doing anything.
Period.
I think
so it's where's the compare and contrast? Like, how is it that the terrorists that we speak of, and that's another thing that people like to be like, oh, well, Muslim people are terrorists. No, that's not exactly true, because there's been a lot of people running up into motherfucking schools and shooting up Walmarts and shit. That's terrorism right there. So,
and those people are predominantly white too. The people who are shooting up schools and Walmarts out there, they're all white redneck dudes with big guns.
And the system excuses it because they're like, the first thing that they say is, oh, well, they go into their background of, oh, well, they have this kind of condition or a mental illness. I don't give a fuck, bitch. If you are walking into my motherfucking brother's school, or your family's, your sibling's school, or whoever's fucking school, shooting up everything, I don't give a fuck about no mental illness. You killed a bunch of people. Your ass need a death sentence. Period. There's no if and discussions, but that's not how it works. They're a little bit more lenient on white people than they are black people. I saw something on Twitter yesterday where there were 3 people that did the exact same crime and were arrested for the exact same reason. There was a white person. I think the other person was like Mexican, and then there was a black guy. And the white guy, he got charged like $100 bond. The other person got charged like a $300 bond, and the black person, he got charged a $500 bond. And it's like, what the fuck? So it's just little shit, and I can definitely agree with you as far as growing up in like in a privileged area. I could definitely say, like, again, being one of the only black and gay person in my school that was out, at least.
Yeah.
Well, that don't even matter because there wasn't that many black people, and I was the
No,
only black gay person
there
that
wasn't.
we knew of at the time. So neither here nor there. I did not experience, from what I know of, any racism or anything like that, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen behind my back. That's the little stuff that I have to think of now, like, you know, and from the shit that I've seen people on the internet, you know, be in a relationship with someone and they're sitting there talking to their friends like, oh, well, this N-word, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh girl, what the fuck were you bitches saying about me behind my back? But I wasn't thinking about that growing up because it was like, I'm young, I'm like a baby, I'm not thinking about that. I'm like, oh my god, everybody loves each other. You know, you're in that world separated from the real world, and you're like, oh well, you know, everything's good. Now that you see the real world, you're like, what were you bitches doing? What were your parents saying to you? What were you saying behind? You know, so it just makes you look at stuff differently. It gives you a whole different perspective. Like, oh, so not everyone is for you. Okay, great.
Right. I mean, Riot, you kind of have an interesting dichotomy going on in this situation because, like you said, your stepdad, pretty much your dad, is, you know, he's black, but he's also military.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, he's military, and in his specific line of where he was in the military, it is pretty much law enforcement in a way. It's not like a cop, but it is. Hold up.
Has to dip. Mommy calls. Just a
Sorry, that was my cousin. So yeah, he was in the military. He's retired now, but he wasn't a cop, but he was involved in the law enforcement. And so I've never really heard anything in particular about the law enforcement side, but I know that him being a black man in the military, I heard him say stories all the time about, you know, racist people in his boot camp, or, you know, during the training, saying all kinds of stuff, threatening to hurt him, fight him, telling him that he's not going to be anything or do anything or get anywhere, and all types of that kind of stuff.
Jesus Christ. See, that's so interesting because there's like a few podcasts that I listen to that have like heavy, you know, they're all ex-military guys, and it's so funny just the different people you find in the same position because like all these guys they're very on the, like, you hear them say, I can't fucking speak. Basically, they're always saying, like, in the military, you don't see color, you don't see religion, you see the man standing beside you and whether or not he's gonna have your back and whether or not you have his back. You know,
And that's a lot of the time in the military. That is the case a lot of times. Like, a lot of times, you know, the military, you find your brothers and your family in there, or your brothers and sisters. You know, that's where you find some of your best relationships and friendships, yeah, ever. But it's still, you know, we're still living in this area, or this era, and this, you know, place in America, and there's still those people out there who were raised in a specific way, and they think those beliefs, and they still act on it, especially in the military, because they'll get you in your room and they'll tie you up and they'll beat you right there just for the fun of it. Like, you know, there's no.
I think that's the weird, like, fucked up part about America. Like, it's so good and it can be so bad, is just the whole idea of freedom of speech. Like, the ability to have the thoughts that you want to have and think the way that you want to think is very good in most situations. But then you have people who have thoughts like that. You know, the thought that anybody, because of something as minor as race or sexuality or religion, is less than someone else. Like,
It's crazy.
it's it's literally, it's fucking crazy. Like, it makes no sense.
Doesn't make sense.
But
And then,
I mean, there are some very askew differences in biology or thought process. Like, two people from different religions obviously don't think the same way about things. They think the way that their religion shows them to think. So they're
but
differences.
that doesn't even
but
go
that,
down to biology. That's just culture, you
Well,
know. That's not even like.
that's yeah. But there's certain like between men and women, right? Like, there's certain biological differences, but that's not enough to treat somebody like they're less than you.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is but anyway, back to my original point. It's so fucking weird that we can have these thoughts, right? We support this idea of freedom of speech, but then there are assholes like this who ruin that, right? Like, freedom of speech isn't a bad thing, but people who think thoughts like this, that's a bad thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird.
And it goes back to like the system just being pretty much entirely corrupt. Like, these people can say what they want, or in the justice system, or in court. I was watching this one thing with my dad yesterday, and it was about some of the experiences that these people were having. And this one woman was in a shop owned by this Korean family, and she was going to buy something, but the Korean lady was she was accusing her of stealing it, even though she was up to the counter. She was trying to pay for it, and they ended up getting into an argument. And then the young black lady just decided to walk away from it, because that's what she decided to do. She just walked away peacefully, just gonna leave the situation. And then the Korean lady just pulled out a gun and shot her in the back and killed her right there.
Well, that's illegal. You cannot. Most states, I'm not going to say this for every municipality, but if you can't shoot someone in the back, that's illegal.
Yeah,
no
but
matter if
the
it's
thing is that
self-defense or whatever. Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. They went to court, and she was charged with, I think, third-degree manslaughter. I could be wrong, but she was charged with that. Yeah, she was charged with that, and she was, instead of being charged, if a black man did that, in the documentary, it was saying if a black man did exactly what that Korean lady did and got charged with the same charge, he would have served at least 15 years in prison. But the Korean lady did that and served 5 years probation, so she wasn't even in jail.
Yeah. So the system is only in favor of. I mean, when people talk about, oh well, like all lives matter, like I don't think people understand. Like, we're not saying that all lives don't matter. We're just saying that we don't see how all lives can matter if they're killing us. All lives can't matter until our lives fucking matter. I mean, that's just the end of story. We're not saying anything negative against, not letting white people live, or Asian, or none of that. But it's like, y'all have to understand, they're coming after us. Y'all see, I don't know how many videos y'all have seen, but I've seen tons of videos, to the point to where, even with my job now, I deliver like little Amazon packages, and every day that I deliver a package, especially in a predominantly white neighborhood, I'm a little nervous, I'm like, somebody could easily come outside, and even though I work for motherfucking Amazon, bitch, they could be like, oh, well, he's trespassing, or he's trying to steal. Like, they could just say anything, and then someone could feel like they could just shoot me just because.
Bro, I'm not even gonna, like, I really am not trying to take away from anything you're saying.
Like, it's petrifying. Like, it's scary. And I have so many people that I come in contact with who will be like, stay safe. And I've seen some people who have put signs on their doors who are like, we support Black Lives and Black Lives Matter and women's rights and all this. Like, that shit is reassuring for me. Seeing that, I'm like, okay, these.
Uh-oh.
You didn't have to say nothing to me. I mean, I don't know you from Adam. We don't know each other like that at all. But the fact that they say stay safe is like, they know what the fuck is going on, and they know that my life is in jeopardy on top of all the Black lives. Like, So it's a really scary thing that's going on right now. I think social media has brought to light a lot of cases that need to be known, but it's also kind of scary to know what things have not been recorded that could have happened that we still don't know about, because shit doesn't pop up until 2 or 3 months later down the line, and then that's when hashtag comes. So everything's very delayed these days, and you never know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a scary, scary time. And like I said at the beginning, we're in a whole last pandemic. So while
Right.
people are, basically protesting, fighting for what we believe in, we're also putting our lives in jeopardy because we got motherfucking corona. The
Right.
virus is still, just because a stay-at-home order is released, that bitch is gone. So I don't know.
Right.
It's just too much. It's too much all at once,
I find it
in my opinion.
I find it interesting what you're saying about just safety and shit. Like, again, I'm not taking away from what you're saying at all. I obviously understand like situations are different here, but man, I think just the service industry in general is especially like driving around places, fucking dangerous, dude. Like
That's fine.
when I was a locksmith, I can't tell you how many times I was put at gunpoint or robbed or yada yada, dude. You can ask Riot. I fucking was scared. Like pretty much every day on that job, just because shit, like I never know what was gonna, and it was like the situations that would come up were just out of the blue, like
Yeah.
just no reason for it whatsoever, but all of a sudden like shit's going down, like it was fucking weird, man.
And that's the thing, like you said, I know you're not trying to like put what Jourdan was saying down or anything, but like you were experiencing that and you were feeling all of that doing this job stuff, and you're a white, you're a white man. Imagine if you were, black and doing that, like
Yeah.
Black
those,
and gay at that. Y'all have to
for
realize,
real.
like, a bitch can't even go out and hold hands with somebody that I like.
Mm-mm.
Okay? That is one of the scariest things. I was telling my best friend that the other day. That is the scariest thing that I have yet to overcome, just because of the shit that I've seen gay people go through, or the queer community. So it's like, I can't win.
Yeah,
No, you can't.
you kind of drew the short straw, huh, Jourdan?
I know, but I can't help what I like. I'm sorry. I'm not,
Fuck.
it is what it is.
It
I
is what
can't
it
change the
is.
color of my motherfucking skin, and I can't change that I like men. It is. Oh, that rhymed, but that's so true. I can't change any of it. So
Yeah, this whole situation is so bad, but I mean, if we look at it, like all 50 states plus other countries are all, protesting and doing all these things to try and change this, and it's, one of the biggest civil rights movements we had in
yeah,
modern history.
Right.
And that hasn't happened before. Like not all 50 states have ever, cared this much, and not all these people have ever protested this much. And especially
yeah,
having social media now, like it gives people in danger this platform to speak, and it's more than anyone else has ever gotten before. And I think
yeah.
it's definitely time. It sucks that a pandemic is going on, and it sucks that all this stuff even has to happen in general. But I think it's time for it to happen. Time for change, time for people to be heard.
My thing though, I just think how it's so convenient because,
Hmm.
with the pandemic, it was always there's this many cases in this state, blah 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 blah, whatever. Ever since this protesting, I ain't heard shit.
That's
And
because
Mhm.
I don't know if
everybody's
y'all
focused
know,
on the
For real.
fucking protest,
there
bro.
has been many people at these motherfucking protests, bitches. You would think at least one of these bitches got the corona.
Right.
For
So
real.
it's just, the whole thing is a fucking setup. Everything with the government, and that's another thing that I'm grateful for with this pandemic. Even though it's been such, like, everyone has dealt with the pandemic differently, I've taken the opportunity to learn more about, what the government can do, what our, senators can do, what our mayors can do, all that shit, paying attention to that stuff that I've never thought of before. Like, it's just giving me more insight, And I feel like the government is, again, trying to use this to steer us away from voting and trying to, get us off
Mhm.
track. And we're sick of it. Like, I don't know why it's so hard to just, enforce law. I mean, they enforce fucking laws all the fucking time. This just needs a fucking update. The police officers should not be able to just kill people and just be able to walk away and just, nothing happens.
So,
If I cannot kill nobody, you can't either.
so
Yeah.
that brings up an interesting question that I have. Do you think that we can have police? Do you think that police officers serve a purpose?
Like I said, not all of them, but
Well, yeah,
no
shit.
most of them have taken their fucking badge and have abused their every ounce of power that they got.
Right, but say
every fucking ounce.
In a perfect world where all police officers, upheld the oath that they swore to uphold, do you think that having a police force would be an inherently good thing?
I mean, I personally feel like with the police officers, if they were held accountable for every fucking death that was caused by them unnecessarily, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't have this problem right now. That's literally all people are asking for, is for them to literally be arrested if you fucking kill someone. And like I said, most of the shit that is happening is based off of racial beliefs, them being racist towards black people.
Right.
I mean, NYPD police officers on their radio straight up were like, shoot these motherfuckers. Like, we're just going to run them over. Like, what the fuck? What?
Right. So, I mean, in short, sorry, I'm not trying to, brush over anything, but in short,
my opinion, would be literally, if we're going to have police officers, bitch, they need to be held accountable for the bullshit that they put us through, the unnecessary shit. They need more training. I've learned that a fucking barber has longer training than a fucking police officer. They're not giving them that much training. They're releasing them out on the field way too motherfucking soon. Them bitches are getting slap happy and they're like, oh, I got a gun. Let me shoot somebody now.
Well, right. What's the military boot camp, 6 weeks? Is that right?
It varies for different branches, but I think for a cop it's around 6 weeks.
Well, no, for an MP, like a military police, or
just
military.
Typically they're around 4 to 6 weeks, I think, but yeah.
Okay, so you have your boot camp, right, which is 4 to 6 weeks, and then you have basic, right? I'm sorry, I don't know a ton about the military, but your boot camp is your physical readiness, right? And then you have basic training where you actually go and you pick what's it called, a career path in the military, and that can take
you can be a medic or
that can take
one of those things, but
a year, right, before you technically pass and complete that, right?
Yeah, but still, I think what Jourdan was saying, I heard that too. To be a hairdresser, you have to do 2 years of schooling in college, and then every 2 years you have to have a checkup to make sure you're doing everything. But once you become a cop, after those 6 weeks, you don't get any checkups or anything. You're basically just going.
That's what I'm saying. In the military, you're constantly. I'm using the military because it's such a similar organization to the police force in a lot of ways. You have to do at least pretty much a year of training before you're accepted into the position. From my knowledge, again, I could be talking out of my ass, so I apologize to anybody who knows the military is in the military if I'm getting that wrong. But I agree with that. So, there should be a lot more of a training program and then a checkup. You can't. Most jobs you have to prove your competence. Thanks for the follow, Spunkios. I appreciate it. Most positions have some sort of, especially when you're dealing with something as ever-changing as law or anything to do with social society, you have to continue testing and retest for your we have to retest for our driver's license, bro. Why are we not retesting for these higher positions?
Right.
I don't know. It's fucking weird, dude. This entire world is just fucking weird right now, man.
I just hope that whoever has the power to fucking just update everything or just restart another system or whatever, I think that would be ideal. This shit has been in place and has gone on for too long, and I don't see why not. We haven't tried any other option, so why not just start from the foundation and build back up again?
Yeah.
I don't see what the problem with that is. I mean, I don't see how the White House or our president, again, he's not helping with any of this bullshit. He's actually making it fucking worse by getting on a podium and telling police officers, oh, well, when you put somebody in handcuffs, don't be too nice to them. You know, normally y'all cover their head when they're going in the police car, you know, just give them a little, you know, shit like that. And you would think, like, some people are like, oh, well, he's just being funny. No, bitch. There are people who are taking him seriously. And when you are the president of the fucking U.S., you can't just say little jokey jokes like you are just a reality TV star. No, people are going to take that to heart. And then people already have, you know, racial beliefs. Are like, oh, bitch, yay, he gave me the green light. No. I need you to...
Dude, that's the hard balance with, like, what Riot and I do. Like, we kind of base our humor and our channel and shit off of humor. Or, I said humor. Our channel off of, like, humor. And we definitely go a little close to the edge on some of the shit that we say, you know? But
I know. You told me.
But, like...
I was like, stop.
Like, uh-oh. No, but, like, it's so hard to do that.
Not today.
It's so hard to do that. But also instill, like, people get it. Some people out there get it. If you make a joke, like, that's not necessarily how you act in society or even what you believe in, like, your mind. It's just, for some reason, it's funny to you. Like, I grew up in a rough situation, so I find kind of rough shit funny, you know, some dark humor, death humor, yada yada. But, you know, I mean, you know me as a person, like, I don't think that, you know, there's an argument that, like, every white person is racist. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I'm white. I have no fucking idea, honestly. But, like, it's hard to walk that line between funny jokes at other people's expense and also getting the message out there that, like, hey, to those people who might not understand that it's a joke, like, hey, it's all fun and games when you're with friends or when you're with a community online, but when you go out into the real world, like, you gotta treat people with respect no matter who or what they are, you know? Like,
yeah,
until they do something that actually deserves disrespect or lost respect. Like, if you're a pedophile out there, I'm sorry, but fuck you. You know, like someone like that.
No, sorry. Fuck you for being a pedophile, bitch.
Exactly.
And for
like
those bitches who think that they should be a part of our community, I will slap the fuck out of you. Because no, I don't tolerate no shit like that. There is no me fucking a man ain't got shit to do with a pedophile. I'm just saying, there's no correlation. Continue.
But you could take something like that, the whole pedophile thing, and relay it back to the whole justice system thing. Like, you could have a white man pedophile that's allowed back in the neighborhood and he's allowed to live there as long as he tells people that he's a sex offender or whatever. But if it was a black dude who did it, then he'd be in jail for life for, like, rape or some shit. You know, it's like completely different. The justice system is just so, it's just backwards and unjust, quite frankly.
And it's crazy when that person turns out to be your president.
Right.
And then the whole world finds out and ain't nobody doing shit about it. But
he's got to hide in a bunker while this is going down. Like, he can't even be a man.
Right. And I think what people have to, what even our president has to understand is that right now, today's day and age in our society is very, very sensitive. Very, very sensitive. We're living in different times where back then, you know, growing up, especially like even with like movies and shit, they were saying shit as far as humor goes. They were saying shit like left and right. You would get it, understand it. There was no sensitivity, whatever. But now, if you were to see any movies that like had any like slurs or any that you would think that they're trying to say something like racially towards another race or whatever, it's like, oh girl, no, why'd you do that? Or you canceled. Or you got motherfuckers who like to be private investigators on Twitter, or you know. So it's like, you can't just be saying shit and you got 81.7 million followers on Twitter. You can't just be saying any and everything on that bitch. You like, he's like the sixth most followed person on Twitter. I don't know how. So, and if you bitches on here follow Trump, block. But
bro, if I had a Twitter, I would just follow him to see what the fuck he's saying, dude.
Oh,
He
honey,
posts some stupid stuff. Like,
here's the thing: you don't need to follow him to see that, because that shit goes around.
True, that's why. That shit everything's a
like
fucking meme nowadays, dude. Oh shit. Jourdan, what do you think about cancel culture?
I really don't personally agree with people just like going into people's lives, like evaluating their lives at 12 years old to motherfucking like 40 and shit. Like, I'm like, we all were a certain kind of way, you know, growing up. And ever since then, we have realized things like, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. Now, bitch, I wasn't saying racial shit or I wasn't, you know, stuff like that. But I think people are not giving other people room for growth. In the same breath, when you have people who have just been able to, you know, slither through life and, you know, end up being your president and still saying shit that is like wrong as hell, then it's like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Like, there's a bunch of shit on Trump that's popping up now. I'm like, what? I didn't even vote for your motherfucking ass. What is that? So I don't agree with cancel culture. Like I said, that goes into our society being so sensitive. They're like, ooh, what shit can we dig up on this person? I'm like, bitch, you can't cancel everybody. There's 7 billion people in this world. Good luck. Everybody's done something, but I don't agree with it. But I also think that people change their mindsets. Those who have not changed their mindsets, goodbye.
Well, those are the scary people, right? The people who literally don't learn or grow or change. Those are the people you need to be afraid of. Like, those are the people that think no matter what they do, what they say, how they act, they're right.
They can get away with it. Right.
Yeah. No, those people are scary, man.
You're president.
Yeah, but he's also like 80 years old. He's kind of a fucking boomer.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still alive, but, you know, here we are.
His diet's insane. I'm surprised he hasn't had a heart attack.
Fucking Mickey D's.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, we've seen Dad, so.
Well,
Corona has spared his life for now.
For real.
Spunkio.
If y'all seen The Simpsons, I'm telling you, everything that I've seen on Twitter, The Simpsons be knowing shit. I don't know who the writers are.
They've never been wrong.
The
like, literally.
are ahead of the time, and they know what's gonna happen. So
The Simpsons has never been wrong. They predicted like everything.
Everything. And I'm like, do y'all have like powers or something? Like, can y'all tell me what I'm gonna do with my life? Because a bitch is confused. But
right, am I gonna be famous on YouTube or what? Like what?
Period. Like, cause I'm tired of wasting time. A bitch is stuck. But yeah, I saw some shit as far as like the rioting that's happened. What's gonna happen to him? We saw him getting elected in The Simpsons. I mean, it's a whole every single thing that's happened. So, motherfucker, he should be scared. That motherfucker should be scared because of The Simpsons alone, let alone the society and the citizens of the world. So, I don't know, child. I'm hoping that this, you know, justice is what we get for all of those people that have died because of the police brutality. And I'm hoping that our system just fucking changes. It doesn't need to be, you know, spruced up. It needs to totally, like, a whole 180.
Right.
Like, we need to see a change. And if we don't see a change, motherfuckers are still gonna protest. Like I said, half of the rights that we have right now is because of the riots or because of the protesting. So if they don't want to change the shit, well, let the protesting begin as part of our rights. Freedom of speech. I'm just saying. So, boom. Said what I said.
I don't know, man. This whole shit's weird. I wish everyone could just get along, honestly, but...
Me? Why can't we love each other? Fuckers!
It'd be so much easier, but whatever.
Yeah, I still don't, like you were saying this earlier, like I just still don't understand why people can look at someone who like maybe their skin color is different or their hair is different or something, and then completely just degrade their existence, like
just based on
as if they're
that,
not the
dude.
same person.
Right? Like, I look at someone, and if they're being a fucking dick, I'm like, hey, fuck you, buddy. Like, I don't like you. Get out of here.
Right.
But
you judge based off of character.
character,
not,
right?
Oh, bitch, you white? You're white? Oh no, we don't do that. I ain't never said that a day in my life. I love all colors. I love all flavors. Bitch, now if you do me wrong, I don't fuck with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your entire race, you know.
Because at the end of the day, we're all people. We're all just trying to live this already short life, like, you know, and be happy.
Short
Like,
as
it's
hell.
just...
Short as hell.
I don't know, man.
So, we'll see. We'll be in the history books though, but we all know
for
that
sure.
the history books ain't gonna tell it accurately, so we're gonna have to correct them bitches. I'm just saying, they're gonna try to make it seem like, oh my god, well, the violent no, bitch, no.
Well,
That
it
is not what
depends
happened.
on what comes out of this, honestly. Like, if change and reform happens in some sort of capacity, the riots are going to be illustrated as, you know, a victory. But if
It depends on who's writing the books and who,
That's what I
you know.
think.
well, it depends on what happens, man. Like, because obviously again, history is determined by the victors, right? So
Yeah, I mean,
like,
to an extent though, because I'm sure there's a lot of things that happened in our past, you know, that were good, but you know, people don't want other people to find out about it, so it's you know, it's told differently.
Right.
well, it's like
But
that's like the fucking flat earthers, like, telling their kids in science class, like, oh, the moon landing didn't happen or the earth is flat. Like, there's still that narrative going around, but the majority of education is saying, like, hey, this event happened in history and was a good thing, right? Like the pride movement, you know, all throughout 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and finally the legalization of gay marriage. Like, that's going to go in the books as a positive, progressive thing that happened in society.
Hopefully.
I mean, I'm assuming it's in there already, right?
Because
like,
you have people who are complaining about, you know, the fact that, oh, well, we want to include, you know, what happened with the gay community and put it in history, and people are throwing a fit about that. So it's like, well, bitch, why do we have a history book?
right.
Like, so why do we have, you know, things about, like, the Black community, the Latino community, you know? So it's like, if we're not going to include everything, let's just shut the fuck up.
Well, those are just the boomers, though. But, like, I feel like the education system mainly supports, you know, the progressive movements. Like, I remember learning about the pride movement in school, and maybe it was just our district, but with the kind of nationalized education system we have, I'm assuming most places are going to have that in the history books. And again, this depends on the educator, but be portrayed in a positive way.
True.
So if this turns out to have any kind of reform, I think it will, for the most part, kind of like, you know, the movement and with Martin Luther King and everything, and civil rights movement, they're going to be looked at and taught in a positive manner, even if negative things did come out of it, you know.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see who wins, right?
At this point, we'll see who wins the fucking war, because right now ain't nobody really winning. There's just a whole lot of deaths happening at this point.
Yeah.
Whole lot of deaths, whole lot of violence, you know. And like I said, they're not just inflicting violence on Black people now. It's everybody. You know, you got them fucking going out in the streets attacking white old people for no reason, pushing them on the ground and having them bleed out their ears. Like, I don't understand that. Like, what are we doing? Like, not the old people? What the fuck? So my grandma's not safe now? Jesus. Like, it is what it is.
And with all the rioting and stuff too, like, people are getting upset about rioting, and they're saying all these things about the riots and stuff, and
yeah, how we're animals, and, you know,
and there probably are out there some actual riots or whatever, like, you know, there might be, who knows, but a lot of the times what I've been hearing is that you know, they're peacefully assembling and they're protesting, they're exercising their First Amendment to
And they're
peacefully
still
assemble. But the
kidding.
thing is, the police and the stuff are setting certain things up to make it look as if they're rioting, and then the police
Right.
acts on it and then turn it into a riot. So basically, the entire thing is like it's all formulated into a riot, and then it gets pushed out into the media as if people are rioting, and then it's just this big mess. When really, in reality, they were just there to protest, and then some cops started some shit, and then it went down like that.
That's
You know.
very true. There have been several videos that I've seen where, the people who are protesting have had a very nice distance away from law enforcement. The law enforcement approaches them. I've seen a black guy go out, have his hands up, kneel, all that, and a white girl go in front of him and actually, protect him, which I think is such a beautiful thing. I love seeing that just because the power that y'all do have, that I think
Mm-hmm.
y'all understand that is
The
very,
privilege.
very essential with this whole movement. Like, we have been fighting this battle forever, and it is really important that the people who are seeing this, like, you have to look at your black friends, your black families, and people of color, and really think like, this shit is not right. Would I want to see my family member or my friend go through something like that, or would I want their names to be posted all around the world? And you have to put yourself in that mindset. And if you have that, then it's like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fight this together. Let's get this justice served for everybody who's ever went through this. All the families that had to lose a son, nephew, dad, all that. Let's do that for them. Let's do that for our kids in the future. This isn't just for us. This is for everybody.
Right.
But people don't have that mentality. People want to call us animals and be like, "Oh, let's shoot the protesters. What's the point?" Like, I don't understand. Like, that's
Yeah.
what the fuck people are saying. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and again, the people who are saying that are predominantly white. You don't see no black people talk about some kill the protesters. What the fuck?
Mm.
Right.
What sense would that make? Bitch, that would kill the whole purpose. I was like, bitch, you gonna kill your own people? It's predominantly
Right.
white people. So we're not making this a race thing. We are simply wanting the change for the better good. We're wanting to be treated as equal. I want my life to be as equal as y'all's. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Y'all lives, y'all can live freely. You can walk out with a gun around a police officer and or a knife or whatever the fuck kind of weapon you want, and not have a goddamn thing happen to you. And then my black ass, I can just sit there and breathe or jog or whatever the fuck under the sun and be killed.
Mhm.
That's
See,
not fair.
that was so weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shut the fuck up, right? It's my turn to speak.
Shut up, bitch. I have good points. I have good points to say.
Same.
He does.
That was a weird thing about like locksmithing, because I used to, like, when this shit started happening, I realized like my life is in danger. I bought a firearm to protect myself, and I used to open carry that bitch. Never had a word said to me by anybody. Like, that bitch was just on my hip, and I always thought that was weird. Like, I expected when I started doing it, I was like, oh, people aren't gonna like this. No one said. The only thing I got were compliments, like, oh, nice.
By who?
No, yeah, you're right. White people, white
Yeah.
dudes,
Yeah,
white dudes
exactly.
be like,
Black
nice
person
gun,
gonna
bro.
Go up to you and be like, "Oh yeah, buddy, you got a gun? Yeah, no. I'm gonna need to put that bitch up. Thank you."
But no,
I get what you're saying.
it was weird.
Yeah.
I didn't even like really think about it that way. I was confused. I was like, I thought more people would have an issue with this.
But let a black person carry around a gun, or even think about carrying
Mhm.
around a gun, bitch. It's a
No,
problem. And
there's
a
no
lot
way.
of the people who have died have not been armed with anything. Anything. If somebody even looked like they had like a fucking play gun or some shit, it was boom bam, like, you're dead. So
Right.
it's not fucking fair. Like I said, from the terrorism, for the fact that there are literally white people who are not even like they have their permits to use guns or whatever, and they're going out and they're taking it amongst themselves to be like, oh, let me go out here and protect these businesses, and I'm just gonna shoot the protesters. Bitch, you're just using that as an excuse to shoot people. That's not
Mhm.
good.
There's a difference
That
between
raises a gun issue.
There's a difference between the right to bear arms and being stupid and just wanting to fucking like act like you have a big cock or exert power over somebody.
That's what's happening though. That's what like
Mhm.
people everywhere are taking it upon themselves to be like, bitch, well, if the police officers can't get here in time, I got my firearm. I'm going to protect you, bitch. I'm not. No, that's not your place. That is not your place. So
Right.
then it becomes, oh, so you going to take your gun and try to shoot me? Well, our black community, we got to make sure if a motherfucker tries to come into a black business, bitch, we ready. What's good? The odds are even. So me personally, I don't do the gun thing. I would never. I mean, if I really, really needed it to protect myself, I would get it. But I don't believe in like killing anybody. I'm too nice. I
You
care
couldn't
about
hurt a
fucking
fucking fly,
butterflies and
Jourdan.
dogs, and I would cry. I would literally bawl and
Yeah.
roll up into a ball and never talk to anybody else. Like I couldn't do it. But if you're trying to kill me, bitch, it's on.
What do you think? What do you think about the business owners who are protecting their business? And again, there are the crazy assholes out there who are just looking for an excuse to shoot it off. But just the people who are legitimately just trying to protect their business.
Well, first of all, I hope them bitches have insurance, irregardless, because just in general. But I don't blame them. I really don't blame them for wanting to protect their. Like I said, I don't agree with people going in there just to steal everything. I mean, for me personally, that's giving people who already steal. Bitch, this is a free day. This is Black Friday today. Like, I don't agree with that. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't need 7 TVs to fucking sell to people, whatever. But like I said, with this whole movement, I mean, there's no rules at this point. There's no right way to go about it. However, I don't agree that way. I agree with the peaceful protesting. Everybody getting together and being a positive, movement. I really would love for it to be positive, but I would love for the law enforcement to be on the same page. Them bitches, they're like, oh, it's peaceful. Bitch, let's get ready. Let's start shooting motherfuckers just because.
I mean,
Let's shoot these motherfuckers. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, no.
I've seen a lot of videos of cops being assholes, and I've seen a lot of videos of cops like being, in support of the protests and trying to do what they can under their obligation and oath to show their support.
Yeah, I have too. And I appreciate those officers that are doing that. But at the same time, again, with media, it doesn't help that all of our media is flooded with the bad shit. Even though we need to know what's going on. Like, don't get me wrong. But all we see is the bad cops who are going out here beating on people, shooting people. That's all you see. So it puts that negative vibe to good cops. Like, bitch, okay, so what are you gonna do to the bad cops? Right. That's what I'm asking. I'm like, take your good cop ass, go up to these bad cops and say something. Say something to your lieutenant or whatever the fuck. Have your lieutenant speak to everyone. Like, I think the LAPD lieutenant got in front of everybody and said that he was gonna change some things. That's what we need. More of that. We need more of that energy. Keep doing your good cop shit, whatever. Great. You knew what you signed up for. Now, take care of these bitches who are not actually serving the country, who's trying to kill us. That's what people want. Use your motherfucking power. Don't abuse it. You walk and, do the protesting thing with us all you want to, but, like, you need to talk to the bad cops. You need to talk to your friends. Let them know, hey, bitch, that's not probably what you want to do.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't know what right way to go about this. I mean, society has never been put in a position to where, like, how do we change the whole entire government? Like, how do we restart this again? But we're trying to figure it out piece by piece, and we're just trying not to be silent about it. So
I heard a really interesting point, and again, like, I don't necessarily think 99% of the rioting that's going on or the looting or yada yada, anything with the violence is necessarily the right way to go about it. But I saw this interesting post that was like, yeah, we tried peacefully protesting when Colin Kaepernick would kneel during the national anthem, and you didn't like that either. I was like, well, shit.
Right, so like, we don't win.
Fuck.
We don't win. They took that motherfucker out of the league, or I think that's the term that you use for football. They took him out altogether just because of that, bitch. That's not really. So we can't kneel, we can't breathe, bitch. We can't protest. We can't use our rights accordingly against the Constitution. Everything that he did was within his right, but he got his rights taken away for what?
I mean, to be fair, like, he was technically a public figure, so, you know, I'm not necessarily saying that it was right that he got fired or whatever, but he did have to, as a public figure like that, you kind of have to adhere to the rules of your
Child, say that to Trump, honey.
Well,
if
that's a very
Trump's motherfucking ass out of office.
That's
and keep that same energy with everybody.
That's a valid point.
Because his ass, with half of the shit he's been doing, he should have been gone. Especially even with Twitter. Okay, Twitter has its own policies and things that you have to abide by and their guidelines, and he's definitely abused that. And the people who have abused that have been blocked or their accounts have been shut down. But no, his account still remains. So it's little shit like that. Like, okay, so the president can just say any and everything just because he the president. So when he not the president, what y'all gonna
do? Right.
All
right, guys. I gotta go, but it was a very good conversation. Glad I got to talk to you, Jourdan.
Sam.
All right.
Well, I hope I'll see you guys later. I hope I get to talk to you again soon, Jourdan. And I'll see you guys later.
It was so nice talking to you, and thank you for your insight on everything. And I really appreciate the conversation.
For sure.
All right.
Take care, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Jourdan, man, is there anything else that you just want to get out there? Again, not that I have any kind of platform, but just to have out there in the world.
I just want people to understand in general, I am not the kind of person that normally speaks up on any type of issue like that. I don't consider myself a spokesperson or anything. I'm just going off of observation and putting myself in those people's shoes because obviously I look like them. So it's a really scary time. I'm hoping that everything that we're working hard for will pay off. And that's really it. I'm glad that I'm really proud of myself, not to my own horn, but I'm proud that I've done my fucking homework and and knowledgeable of the things that are going on, because ignorance is fucking bliss in this bitch. If you don't know what the fuck is going on, then your ass will be lost. You'll be left behind. And I'm glad that I got to speak on what's going on with you. At first I was nervous. I was like, oh, I knew you were going to fucking reach out to me too. I was like, oh, Justin's probably going to call me and I'm going to have to be the spokesperson tonight. And bitch, I am not a spokesperson. But I'm glad I got to give my own little flavor to what's going on in the world. And I'm glad that you respect my opinion enough to even let me come on here and talk.
I'm pissed that, because I wanted to have you on before this whole shit went down. I'm pissed that it took this to get you on.
Oh, I guess now's a good time.
But I just legitimately I think it's important. I know how amazing and good of a person you are, so I just think it's important that people know what you think. If you're gonna listen to anybody, if you're gonna take anything that anybody says seriously, Jourdan's the guy to listen to. He's just a good fucking soul. So I appreciate you being on here, man. I really do.
I appreciate you too. I appreciate the invite, and like I said, I've always respected you, always thought highly of you.
Bitch, that's not true. You blocked me because of Ariana Grande.
Okay,
don't even.
We're talking about in the present, bitch. I respect everything you have to say, and it means a lot that you would want me to even speak on your shit. I'm like, oh, yay. It means a lot, so thank you.
It's really nothing, man. Like I said, I appreciate everything, man. Thanks for being on. Thanks for sharing. Do you have any final thoughts before we shut it down?
No, not really.
Not really. All right. Well, Spunkios, thanks for interacting in the chat. I appreciate your insight and input. I'm sorry I couldn't get to everything. Jourdan, again, thank you for being on and talking about it. Have a good night, guys. Thanks.
Bye.